Hey Scott, how are you doing?
Fantastic, Roel. Good to see you again.
Good to see you. I know it's like a broken record. You're busy and time is just whizzing by. Can you believe it's August already?
I know, here we go again. We were just lamenting that and the fact that our kids are back in school. I don't know about yourself and the rest of the folks that are watching right now, but it is crazy to think that school's starting so early. But here we go again.
hmm We're going to give the homeschooling thing a shot. So I might have to bend your ear about some tips and
Be,
tricks on that.
be happy to. Now everybody's an expert after last year, and I think before long we're going to see if some schools haven't already, and they may just bag this whole semester and come back home. But we'll see.
Uh-huh. So I know you are out. That's why you have the headphones. You're
Hmm.
not at your usual office. So speaking of the whole pandemic thing and all that, I
Hmm.
thought it would be apropos if I ask you this question
Hmm.
regarding something like a new term that's kind of coming out, COVID-19 Job Burnout. And
Hmm.
let me
Hmm.
just read what I wanted to prepare here for you, if that's all right.
Hmm.
I
Sure.
know it's on the minds of our community members that not just in self-storage industry, but in many industries, employees are beginning to show some fatigue
Hmm.
with dealing with the changes, the new normal. So people
Hmm.
are kind of on edge,
Hmm.
maybe a little bit less patient with both coworkers in the facilities, but also
Mhm.
could
Mhm.
spill over to customers that are coming in.
Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
any thoughts or any words of encouragement or suggestions
Mhm.
on how people can deal with this on both
Yeah.
fronts?
Mhm. Well, first of all, let's go. I'll affirm you in that, and just understand. Yeah, per the article, it's a real thing. And as a matter of fact, on the last meeting that I was on, we had a discussion about that with somebody that we deal with. We thought that guy is the nicest guy all the time. What was behind that email where he sent it to one of our staff members, and I was just like, oh my gosh, that's not like him. And I'm going to call him after this. And but the background is that his father passed away, and we know that that's difficult right now. Funerals are limited. We know loved ones that haven't been able to even be with their loved ones when they pass in the hospital, which is hard. Weddings. I mean, you name it. So there's that. And then this individual also has COVID-19. So he lost his father, couldn't grieve him very well, and so I know that's an extreme case, but I mean, let's face it, that is all a result of the COVID. If he were able to grieve his father correctly, and if he didn't have it, then he would probably still be a little down, but be his normal jovial self. And so we've seen that people we're not good. We were built, depending on what you believe, our DNA, we're wired, or God made us to be communal. We're supposed to be in community, and clearly you can see now that this is not working. And with the rate of domestic violence and a whole bunch of other ugly things from people being caged up, it's not good, and it does not do well for people's psyche. So for our staff, and I guess one of the things, Roel, as you know, clearly working for us and with us, is that we work with folks, our staff, whether independent contractors, employees, whomever, we hire based on core values, and that's one of them. We have a fun environment. For what we do this in the education side of our business. I mean, you have to have compassion, and we ask everybody to love on our students, because sometimes that's all they need. I mean, we educate them, but we come alongside of them. You have to have patience, compassion. You have to have a heart for teaching and wanting to help others, and so that's a big piece. A big part of our hiring process. I mean, they can be rock stars on paper and on the outside and in interviews, but if we sense in as we get into the testing that we do on personality tests, and if they just don't jive after 3 or 4 interviews with some of our folks, then they're not going to have a home here. If we don't find that they come from have the same core values that we share in our company. So I think that's one, and how you combat that, whether you're running an organization or speaking of ours. We know what hiring the wrong person does if they don't share our core values, and that makes it difficult for everybody. Throw a pandemic and a recession on top of that, and everybody's on edge if you have a bunch of angry people to begin with. So
Mhm.
that's one. So thankfully, our staff I'm sure I can't even put my finger on a time when we felt the COVID-19 fatigue, or the situation fatigue that we're in, where it's come out. But I imagine it probably has. I mean, it probably has for me as well, just not being able to be out and do what we normally do. But speaking more to to the retail side of our business, and our managers at our facilities that are dealing with customers, same goes there. We hire folks that and let them know that they have to have that compassion for their fellow human being, to begin with in this position, let alone with our company, because in the storage business, again, we are in the trauma and transition business. When people come in and they need some self-storage, they need a unit, there's usually a trauma in their life, or there's transition, and that causes stress. People that are coming home from college early, that's kind of stressful. If people are moving, whether it's a good thing or not, that's stressful. That causes stress. There's trauma associated with that if they're having to, bury a loved one, and now they're moving their estate into storage, whatever didn't sell, or after you settle the will. There's bankruptcy, there's divorce, there's separation. I mean, there's a whole lot that goes into the need for storage. And we see, we assume, we train and we teach and coach the folks that are at our stores that when somebody comes in the door, you need to assume that their hair's on fire and there's something going on in their life. And so you stand up, you pay attention to them, you address them properly, you smile, and you ask how you can help them. At that first and foremost. And so, again, how do we handle that now, where we've had to, during in some areas and some weeks ago, where we were in total lockdown. Storage is an essential business, but we had some of our folks, our managers that were working at the facility, doing marketing and taking phone calls, but they had to lock the doors and not turn people away. They were not allowed to come in. That's not easy to do. And those that were able to come in, what would normally be a, standing up and smiling and greeting them with a handshake, now is this uncomfortable, what do I do? And I'm behind this piece of plexiglass. I'd love to help you. And, your life is on fire and I'd like to give you a hug, but we have to, we have to handle things differently. So all of that is, truly, how do we combat it? It starts way back in hiring the right people, so that hopefully you, as a part of your organization, you don't have to deal with this too often. But that doesn't mean that an extra dose of attaboys and, many companies, and we followed suit as well in our organization on the executive level or on the staffing level, we started doing the virtual happy hours and having a glass of wine and having a beer virtually on Zoom, with our folks, and being able to just chat about, laugh about some of the challenges that we're having, but, catch up on their families and how they're dealing with things. And that has certainly helped all of us to be able to, get through this together and still have that community. And just, because we can't go out for cocktails and we don't see each other at our events and our, meetings and our own mastermind, that's the best that we can do. At the store level, it's the same thing, just touch points and attaboys and Zoom. I'm thankful for Zoom, and I'm thankful that, pretty quickly this just became the norm. But now when I don't send out emails, rarely do I send out emails unless it's a quick reply without tying a video to it. It's really quick and easy to do that. And phone calls anymore are Zoom calls or FaceTime, just to get that connection, to feel that as much as possible. So, how do we combat that and the fatigue? Hiring the right people to begin with, so that it doesn't affect the wrong person, or affects the entire organization. But multiple touch points, doing absolutely everything you can, more attaboys, and just being positive. There's a time for sulking with somebody and saying, yeah, this does suck, and I'm sorry that happened in your life, and, coming down and, just sitting with them and some of the challenges that are going on, that even, additional challenges that COVID-19 has brought. But for the most part, trying not to let it affect you, so that everybody else sees that, the leader of your organization is staying positive through this, and it is the new norm. We'll navigate through it. And you know what, life's a whole lot more difficult in other places of the world than it is here. So, and I know not everybody wants to hear that, and being tactful and saying that at the right time and in the right way takes some practice. But I don't know if that answers your question real well, but that's the best I got for you.
It does. It reminds me of a bit of graffiti I had read somewhere that was actually a positive thing, that said something to the effect of, morale is not built from the bottom up, it trickles from the top down. And
That's
something
so
that you
true.
do, I'm going to kind of reveal a little bit behind the curtain, that I think is great that you do, is you send out these Happy Friday video messages to the people internally. And I'm not sure if there's other partners and stuff that you send that, but I think that is a great pick-me-up. Could you kind of comment? Was that on purpose? You know, you being the leader of this organization on the education side as well as on the operations and investing side, was that a conscious effort, or did it come naturally, or how much influence do you think any leader of their own organization has?
Yeah, well, it's you know, well, first of all, I agree 100% with the graffiti and with regard to the morale trickling down. I mean, that's it. That's so apparent. You know, and there's times when I am guilty of that, and I do get down a little bit, and I realize, oh, you know, and I'll even have to circle back after a meeting and say, hey guys, I'm sorry. You know, I didn't give the attaboys that I should have, and recognizing where we are, because that does. You know, when I got off the meeting, I thought, oh, I saw everybody leave that call, and they had kind of a somber face. That's my fault. That's on me. So
And
it
that's
does
kind of
start at the
tough
top.
because a lot of people look up to you as our fearless leader, and sometimes you got to dig down deep because I'm not sure if you got your own. You must have your own support system or coaches or what have you. But when you're the leader of an organization, if it's just one facility or a handful, the buck stops with you. And a lot of our members of our community are the leaders of their own organizations. So.
Yeah, and you're right, and you know we recognize that you know, that is our responsibility, and we're all human regardless, but we have to be mindful and conscious. Again, as you mentioned, Roel, even if you out there listening, if you just own one facility and you have one part-time manager at that site, it is your responsibility to set the tone and the stage for their emotion and how they handle and approach their job and working for you and at that facility, and that permeates every facet of their, you know, the work that they do for you. As far as our Friday meetings, you know, as we grew as an organization, you know, we've had this conversation in our larger meetings, Roel, that you're aware of, and I sit back and I scratch my head and I think, how can Richard Branson and some of these folks that run these large organizations and multiple businesses, these serial entrepreneurs, how can they possibly have an effect and an impact on all those businesses and organizations to communicate? You know, and I know they hire good lieutenants, and that's the way it happens. But you know, you come to grips with the fact that as we grow, that not everybody's included in meetings any longer. Now I'm having meetings with department heads, and they have meetings with their staff, and those are folks I don't see or talk to very rarely. And so the only way for that to happen, and it's the best substitute for that now is yes, sending videos out, and you know, once a week catching everybody up in the organization on what's happened, celebrating the successes of our students, of deals that we've closed, bought or sold at a profit, capital that we've raised, just so that everybody understands that we're all rowing in the same direction for something, and to just share and show what those successes are, as well as to share my appreciation for everybody and all the hard work, especially the past 3 months. You know, everybody's had to dig a lot deeper and do so for a lot longer until we, you know, figure out what the new norm is and recreate systems that we had in place that we thought that, you know, were going to be in place for a while and had just created, were now recreated. And so a lot of duplication of work and extra, and just, you know, it's important to, again, share and show appreciation for everybody, but celebrate the successes through this time. And that's the best way that I could think of. And I'm not a very creative person, Roel, so I can't even remember if I got that from somewhere or somebody else, but just felt the need that, yeah, I had to communicate to everybody and spend 10, 15 minutes on a video to send that out to everyone once a week, and just celebrate the good stuff that's happening.
Well, I think it's a very effective, and it's a very positive detail. And going on the fact that a lot of the members in our community are leaders in and of themselves. We have a support group. Well, we've created that support group through a mastermind and through other avenues. So when the buck stops with a community member who owns 1 or 2 facilities or more, who can they lean on? Well, we have that resource, don't we?
Yeah, we do. And that is, you know, I created our mastermind, the Self Storage Mastermind, several years ago to be somewhat self-serving, because at that time we were a smaller organization. We had a few people working for and with us, and the rest were kind of scattered, you know, working at facilities. But you know, at call it an executive level, you know, there wasn't. I mean, that was it. That was me, and then a few people that were contractors. And so I realized that I also needed to be, you know, amongst peers and folks that were operating at the same level or similar or even just below. so that we can bounce ideas off each other and just to have that community. We don't have a marketing department to go down and talk marketing with, or an HR department to talk about issues with and challenges and, all the other parts of a large organization when we're out on our own as entrepreneurs. And so when we created the mastermind, that was the idea. It's a whole bunch of like-minded folks that are in self-storage, going through the same challenges at the same level, operating at a higher level, doing lots of deals and dealing with, high dollar amounts and the same challenges. But also in different parts of the country and different areas of self-storage, from development to conversions to existing facilities to portfolios to raising private equity and syndications, all of that we can get together and once again, as much as possible, attract the people that share our same core values, even though it's a mastermind and not our organization. But generally that's who you attract. And so now we have this mastermind of we're going 100 or so strong, 70 people that regularly attended our live masterminds, which, by the way, we're getting ready to have another one here soon as things open up, hopefully third quarter of this year, but online and on Zoom calls to once again be able to get together. And it's good to see, even if it's Zoom, to see all these faces and to continue to have those same conversations that we did when we were live, and help each other out, support each other and edify each other and challenge one another and keep each other accountable, and do all of that, without the expense of being in a hotel and with planes and some of the other distractions that go along with it. And we've even added those touch points, as and gone to a weekly touch point, whether it's a town hall meeting that we've just added. And then the next week is our mastermind, all in one day, instead of trying to cram 3 days into once a quarter, and then we never see each other again. And so a lot of this has changed for the better, and the community piece, to kind of circle back to that is so important. And I'm so proud of our mastermind community and honored to be a part of it. And I learn a ton, and I'm I guess leading it, yes, but moderating a whole bunch of other rock stars that are all coming from a place of wanting to see the entire community rise up and go forward into the marketplace that we're operating in.
Mm-hmm. I think it's great, the kind of structure of what is kind of organically developed since you created it, because it can get, and it is very lonely when you're at the top of your organization. I know that, that from firsthand experience. So it's great to have that community of people who are not direct competitors. It can be like, okay, this is what's working for me. This is what's challenging. Right. And just even having that moral support and that familiarity of like, hey, how's it going? So it's a big part of the community.
That's huge.
Here.
So
huge. I think, so in a quick summary, starting off with hiring the right people, having the right values, and then also having the touch points, having those attaboys, pat them on the back, keeping in mind that things trickle down from the top. The way that you treat your reportees or your part-time employees or your managers is also going to be affecting how they may be treating each other and the customers.
Yep, absolutely.
Awesome. So we are a little bit over time, so I think that's great for this week. Is there anything that you want to plug in the meantime or anything like that while we got a few seconds?
Yeah, so let me add one more point to this. There's a couple ways that we could all look at this as well, Roel, and that is, I'll be honest with you. I'm one who I like a challenge. Maybe not too much. We've had a lot, heaped onto our shoulders over the past several months in terms of having to change. But I'll tell you what, we get into, and we've always been operating at a higher level, and there's a constant buzz with the activities that we have, and then having to change and figure out other ways to do things cause everything to get even busier. But you know what, the busyness of changing our business to match what's going on in the market and the economy, that's being forced to step up and to change and adapt and to pivot in some instances, even though it's stressful and there's not enough time in the day to figure all that out. At least for me, and I hope for other folks, I kind of enjoy that. Being stretched and growing when you get stretched and being able to look at things differently. If you accept that challenge instead of putting your head in the sand and just making excuses as to why you're underperforming or failing in certain areas of the business, is just not acceptable. So that's a mindset shift in itself, and that is, okay, I'm being forced to change, and I'm going to grow as a result of this. And you know what? Our business is going to get better as a result of this, as it always does. For those of us that have been through recessions, it forces you to dig deeper, and you come out the other side of it much stronger as an individual and as a business. So I guess if anything, I would, when everybody gets fatigued about it, think, oh, well, you know what? Usually the fatigue, what I found, comes from avoiding it, burying your head in the sand and continuing to move that to-do list or to-do item, over to the next day on your calendar, or ignore that email that you need to address. But you're going to have to anyways. It's a problem, it's an issue. But once you face it, you're going to get around it, and your business is going to become stronger and better when we get on the other side of this. So it's just having that mindset and really embracing it, and understanding that those that are going to come through with that mindset, the carnage is going to be all around us the further we get into this recession. And for the fewer that are still left standing, are going to have a bigger share of the market and the pie, and have a stronger business, and life will get much, much better at that standpoint. So I guess that's one piece. But then as we discuss the mastermind, once again, I'm so proud of everybody in there, and thankful for the group that we all have created. And so if you're out there and you're in the storage business, and you're looking for clarity in a market and an economy right now where there isn't clarity, and interest rates change from one day to the next, and our equity partners are requiring different types of returns from one day to the next, from cash flow to long-term wealth building to it's moving and changing to, where am I going to find the money? Where am I going to find the next deal? How do I handle insurance in light of what's happening right now, and what truly is on the horizon in terms of the recession? And how do I handle my portfolio right now? Do I sell? Should I be buying more? What does that look like? We answer all those questions, in the mastermind. That's what the support group is all about, because we are, in many cases, folks that are out on an island. And so if you're looking for a group of A players in the self-storage industry, then, head on over to thestoragemastermind.com and take a look around and see, if you like what you see, and what we built, and the caliber of the folks that you see on the video and that are a part of this group, and the things that we discuss, then we invite you to check us out. Your first meeting is free to see if there's a fit, and we're always looking to grow, because it is all about the community. It's not me standing on stage teaching people like we do in our academies. I play a small bit part in the mastermind. I just get to lead it and kick us off and moderate. But the quality and the content and the caliber of the individuals is what makes up that entire group. So, if this has been helpful, these are the types of things that we talk about, and more, and very high level. It is a high level by invitation only. So I invite you to head on over there and fill out the invitation if you are interested in having a discussion with me about the mastermind.
Excellent. Again, it reminds me of another saying that I think it applies. Even though you're in business and investing for yourself, with the community, you don't have to be in business and investing by yourself.
Yeah, it's a choice. You're absolutely 100% right, Roel. Yep.
Excellent. Well, with that, thank you very much for letting me bend your ear again this week. So
my pleasure.
See you again in another couple of weeks. Stay safe.
Yep. You do the same, Roel. Good talking to you. And for everybody else out there, thanks for watching and continuing to be a part of this, and keep the questions coming. It's good to take a break. Even I'm in the Marcus Milichep office. We just closed on a facility and just sold one, and had back-to-back calls, but glad it worked out, even though I had to stay over to be able to see you here. And no matter where we are, we'll continue to get this information out to you. And I'm always happy to take a call from you, Roel.
Oh, awesome. Thanks, Scott.
All right. Thanks, Roel. Take care.
You too.
Thanks again for joining us here at Self Storage Investing. We really, really appreciate it. For more great content like this, make sure to click the subscribe button below this video. And be sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Bigger Pockets. You can also visit us at our main website at selfstorageinvesting.com, where you'll find even more free content, our ebook, and registration to our free webinars and education courses, and much, much more. Once again, for more great content like this, please click the subscribe button below. Thank you.